Austin St. John was recently sentenced to probation for his role in the 3.5 million COVID fraud scheme where he did plead guilty. And there are some people wondering what he wore that day. Well, I actually got a picture of what he wore to the courtroom that day. This was snagged after he was sentenced to probation at a bar with a fan that I cut out. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about his probation. That's right. What are the conditions of his probation? You see, I dig a little deeper.
You dig, bro. You like to dig.
To get, hey, I want to see him, and for those who don't know, who may be unaware what happened, why is he in this predicament? Long story short, June 17, 2020, Geiger obtained a PPP loan for approximately $22,000 for St. John Enterprises. Of the government loan he obtained, he sent approximately $22,000 to the application guy and invested $170,000 for personal gain. Now, the reason why he is a criminal is because you can't use a government loan for personal gain. And we know that because he testified against his good friend, Court Newman, that pled not guilty. So Austin took the stand, and he literally, now, before we get to Austin took the stand, Court Newman's ex-wife is kicking his goddamn back in online and saying Court was found guilty of money laundering and fraud at his federal trial.
That's a truthful statement.
Our families are awaiting his sentencing. He doesn't share information, but I will let you know what is next. Please keep praying for me and my girls. Now, Court since then has screenshotted this and responded. This is true. I was. There is more to the story, which, it's not much. But at the end of the day, this is a fact. I was found guilty of wire fraud and money laundering. Catherine has tried in every way to hurt and destroy my family. I mean, look, guys, you got to take some accountability, bro. If you was found guilty of money laundering and wire fraud, and you're saying her trying to destroy your family, you are destroying your family by participating in this scheme that you knew was a government loan that you used 100% for personal gain. Now, typically, I don't take the wife's side in these type of events, but you should never do anything to jeopardize, one, your freedom or your ability to provide for your family if you have one. She has a number of issues. Even with my current legal issues, the judge still has given me the majority of custody of our girls. This is also a true statement. She gets them 4 days a month. Sadly, this is also a true statement. She has made the last few years pure hell for my girls and my family. I don't make things like this public, yet I feel the need to at least add some levity. We all need your prayers and support, mostly our little girls. They don't deserve any of this. It's also sad. Now, sure, his girls may not deserve this, but remember, Court Newman put his family in this position, and Austin St. John was up on the stand singing like a bird. That's why he only got 5 years probation. And here's his testimony. There's a video on it. We don't need to read all of it, but I'll summarize what you see. This is a testimony from the courts where he said, look, it was explained to me, Mr. Moran, I don't remember the percentage, but I came to roughly $33,000 I was allowed to keep and pay business expenses. And I was told the portion that I allowed to pay rent and function with, and then the rest was sent to Michael Hill for investments. He thought he was going to invest the money with Michael and pull from the interest to hire other people while still making money off of his investment. So, guys, the reason why Austin St. John is a criminal is because he got a government loan and he used it for personal gain. Now, when we go to not his Sunday best for his court hearing that, I may or may not know someone that may or may not have been present. This was filed on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And let's go through it word for word, not word for word, but you can kind of see Austin St. John, or Jason Lawrence Geiger, his name that his mama gave him. He did plead guilty to one count for the first superseding indictment of wire fraud. Okay. So like I said, wire fraud right here. Here we go. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Offense ended when he was arrested. 1 count. All the other counts are dismissed on the motion of the United States. So because he pled guilty to wire fraud, they took money laundering off the table because technically he did send over $10,000 to someone else. And his sentence was 5 years probation. Now, what are the provisions of his probation, and what are the guide or outlines that cover him paying restitution? All right. So first and foremost, I know someone asked me, he does not have to take drug testing. The above drug testing condition is suspended. And this was based on the court. So you don't got to take a drug test, but he do got to open that mouth and let them swab them cheeks if they haven't already, and get his DNA on file, because once you commit a crime, they automatically connect your DNA just to make sure. All right. You must make restitution in accordance with this law. And we know he got $225,000. So yes, he must pay the assessment imposed in accordance with that law, which was a $100 assessment, but it ended up getting waived. Most importantly, you must know the court of any material change in your economic circumstances that might affect your ability to pay restitution, fines, or special assessments. Moving right along. These are the standard conditions of probation. Now, anything highlighted is of great importance, okay? And shout out to the person who says, I stand with ASJ, but not for long. I hope he comes clean. Until saw the Overload DVD says, without respect, I must reject. I mean, a lot of people don't realize by him taking these COVID loans, other people did not get them. And what ended up happening, because he wanted to invest his money, they end up losing out on their business. Their business went belly up. Their business got the bell rung on them. So what are the conditions of Austin St. John's probation? Number 1, he must report to the probation officer within 72 days of release, or, when they at their discretion, which I'm certain he is aware of. I'm sure he has a probation officer now. He must answer questions truthfully to his probation officer. Another one. This is a big one, guys. You must work a full-time job, at least 30 hours at a lawful type of employment, unless the probation officer excuses you from doing so. Now, because he does conventions, chances are he does not have to have a traditional 30-hour job, and he could just do conventions. Okay, so I don't think he's going to get a job at McDonald's, but I think a lot of people wish he would. Now, the biggest one that's going to hurt him, let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger for you. You must not own or possess or have access to firearms, ammunition, destructive devices, dangerous weapons, anything that was designed or was modified for the specific purpose of causing bodily injury or death to another person. Even nunchucks. No nunchucks. So all those katana swords, I wonder, is the government making him give up remember he said he has 900 katana sword or tasers. This is just what comes with being a felon. Let's go scroll down to the restitution. So, special conditions of probation. You must provide the probation officer with access to any financial information, so this should be contracts, right? So what ends up happening is Austin St. John works on a guarantee, right? So he gets a guarantee for a convention, and the probation officer can say, hey, I need to see all your contracts for the year, all of them. And based on the guarantees, they say, hey, you should have made a minimum of, let's just say, $120,000 this year. The government is going to be looking for their cut. All right. Now, another one. This is a big one, guys. This is a big one. You must not incur any new credit card charges or open additional lines of credit without the approval of the probation officer. unless payment of any financial obligation ordered by the court has been paid in full. So, no more new credit cards until he pays the court in full. And let's get down to his restitution. So, he's already looking at, let me see. I can't do it. Can't do it. He's already looking at a bill of $225,000. God damn.
I got money.
Holy shit. Oh, man. Do not pass go. What about a loan? Ninja, you ain't getting no loans? No loans. How you going to take a loan out when you owe the government? All right, so the defendant must make restitution, including community restitution, following the pays amount listed below. Restitution of $225,000. It says jointly and severely with the co-defendant Andrew Charles Moran, Cord Dean Newman, Michael Lewis Hill. These are just some of his co-defendants, which I think this all is going to have this in their sentence. I'm still waiting on the kingpins. Andrew Charles, Michael LaWayne Hill, and Cord Newman, which Cord Newman was the kingpin. He was just an idiot. I'm waiting to see their sentences to see if it mirrors anything. Now, the court determined that the defendant, Austin St. John or Jason Lawrence Geiger, does not have the ability to pay interest and is so ordered that the interest requirement is waived for the restitution. Jesus. Now, the schedule of payments. Okay. He is to make a lump sum payment, which this is just what it is, of $225,000 in accordance with F below. So they're saying, hey, we're going to give them some wiggle room. Okay. We're going to give them some wiggle room. All right. So the special instructions regarding the payment of the criminal monetary penalties. Any monetary penalty, that remains unpaid, the defendant's probation commences is to be paid on a monthly basis at a rate of at least 10% of the defendant's gross income. 10%. The percentage of gross income is to be paid with respect to any restitution that can be changed during probation. If needed, based on the defendant's changed circumstances, if the defendant receives an inheritance, any settlements, gifts, tax refunds, bonuses, lawsuits, awards, or any other receipt of money, the defendant must, within 5 days, apply 100% of such resources to any financial penalty order. Goddamn. So he probably not getting tax returns for a while. Now, he is married, so he can just say, hey, we're married filing separately. But that, that's going to hurt them. She's going to claim the kids, married, filing single or something that's at his household to ensure a tax return is received. But goddamn, no tax returns for at least 5 years, no inheritance, no gifts, no settlements. None of the payment terms imposed by the judgment precludes or prohibits the government from enforcing the unpaid balance of restitution or monetary penalties imposed herein. Damn, man. Ring the bell. I think the biggest thing that's probably going to hurt him the most is he's a convicted felon, right? So you have this convicted felon going around doing conventions because, people are still going to have him. He's still going to have a draw. And like my man Nerd Affiliated said, not all of his fans are on the internet. So his lines are still going to be his lines. Sure, the documentary may have did some damage. A piece of online content may did some damage. I did see a couple content creators start covering it as soon as my video dropped, coincidentally. Even though I covered it like Friday, but the clip didn't come out till like Monday at 1 o'clock. We'll see how it happens. But what do you think of his probation conditions? Fair or foul? I mean, they're pretty standard. I think the biggest thing that's going to hurt him is because he chose to participate in this, he loses the ability to protect his family by any means necessary. Right here, when he can't own a firearm. So, and no, he can't just have the wife have the firearm. That shit's not, that shit's not kosher. And that felony is likely going to be on there for at least 5 years. I'm sure he's going to try to get his record expunged at some point. And he probably will. He probably will to, restore his voter status or his ability to own a firearm. But this is bad. But let me know what you guys think of Austin St. John's probation conditions, and I'll see you next video. Peace.